So now let's dive a little bit deeper into the impulsive moves, which is, for example, this move right here and this move right here. Because we need to understand, how do we know that we have an impulsive move or if we have a pullback, and so on and so on. And impulsive moves can be identified by only looking at the price. So one thing to look out for when it comes to impulsive moves is that the candles within this move, we want to preferably be, pretty large. And especially what we want to see here is that we want to see the candles during the impulsive move to be, larger and show more momentum compared to the candles in the pullback. Or in very simple terms, we want the price to sort of increase more sharply compared to the pullback. To find impulsive moves, I personally prefer to look at the candles, and this is something that you will only get better and better at with practice, but you can actually also use indicators to help you identify sort of the best impulsive moves. So now let's take a look at the very first example for this course. As you can see, I have an indicator on the chart. It's a special version of the MACD, and I will talk about the settings I have on the MACD and how to use it very soon. But first, I actually have an exercise for you guys. So this exercise is very simple. I want you guys to look at this chart and see if you can identify impulsive moves and pullbacks. And use what we talked about recently. The impulsive move should be sharper and preferably have larger candles compared to the pullback. So pause the video right here if you want to. Alright, so for me, the most obvious impulsive move on this chart is this move right here. And why is that? Well, we can pretty clearly see that this move towards the upside is much sharper compared to the prior pullback. We can see this in different ways. We can first of all see that the pullback simply is sharper. It's much more steep. And we can see this in different ways. The first way is to just look at the steepness here. We can see that this move, the impulsive move, is much steeper compared to the previous pullback. Another way to look at this is to simply look at the candles. So we can see that during the impulsive move, we have many sort of large and strong candles here towards the upside, while during the pullback, we have many of these sort of very small candles. They have small bodies, which is the wide part of the candle. So we can pretty clearly see that this is an impulsive move. But on this chart, I would actually also consider this one as an impulsive move. This one is much harder to see, but this is definitely a sharper sort of increase compared to the previous price movement. However, what makes this a bit harder, in my opinion, is that just before this sort of move started, we actually did have some sort of large black and white candles here. So this can make that impulsive move a bit harder. But now, guys, I do want to switch the attention here and take a look at the indicator. So here on the chart, I have a MACD indicator. To open up the MACD, you simply search for MACD in the indicators tab in TradingView. But for this case, I actually have some special settings. So to change the settings of the MACD, you go to the settings tab down here. And here you can see that I actually use no histograms, and I only use the MACD line and signal line. And to be honest, I don't even need the signal line here. We can only use the MACD. The MACD is basically a measurement of momentum. And momentum is exactly what we're looking out for when we're looking out for impulsive moves. Momentum is basically a measurement of the sort of speed and velocity of price, and that is exactly what we want to see during impulsive moves. But you can see here for this MACD indicator, I have some special settings. This is the same settings that, for example, Adam Grimes use. I use the fast length of 3, slow length of 10. We use a signal smoothing of 16, and we use the SMA instead of the EMA as the MA type. You can, however, use the standard MACD settings, but I've found that these settings work very well for me to find these sort of impulsive moves. And how do we use the MACD to find these moves? So let's start with the most obvious example. In this example, we can see that the MACD clearly prints a higher high compared to the previous high. You can see we have a much higher high right there. This can be used as an indication that this right here is a good impulsive move. For the other example, it's definitely not as obvious as we can see here. Yes, the MACD prints a higher high, so that is a good sign. However, the difference is not as clear. But this could still be considered, a pretty good impulsive move. But now let's move a bit to the left here. So I want to take a look at this example. If we now take a look at this one right here, now it starts to look a little bit shaky, right? Just by looking at the price, we can see that this one doesn't look as clear at all compared to the previous ones. So that is already a warning sign. But here, when we look at the MACD, it gets very clear. We can see that here we have a high, but here we print a clearly lower high. So we have the price going in one direction and we have the momentum going in the other direction. This, by the way, is something we call a momentum divergence. And traders often use this as a sign that the following pullback might be something we want to stay away from. In this case, you can actually see that we actually saw a little pullback and we got yet another push towards the upside. However, this is not a pullback I would have traded for the simple reason that the impulsive move before the pullback was not as strong.
This video was just a short clip from our full market structure trading course. So when you got the time, I highly recommend to click or tap on the video right here to watch the full course. I hope to see you guys over there very soon. Take care. Ciao, ciao.